You are welcome to the Java Guide. So, as I had mentioned in the previous recording on composition, so I mentioned that the next recording will be on inheritance. So, basically, this series is basically from our core Java series, and then we are basically trying to cover the important aspects, very important basics of Java, and then before we move to Spring Boot and other things. So, but for today, we are basically dealing with inheritance. So let's get started. So to get started, we'll be taking a look at some theoretical information before we move straight into we get our hands dirty with some coding. So when we talk of inheritance, like just like the way it is used in our day-to-day language, so inheritance is basically a concept in which a new class is created by acquiring the properties, members, and capabilities of an existing class. So already there's an existing class, right? So another class is then created by inheriting the properties of that particular of the previously existing class. So basically this is inheritance. So in addition to the inheriting class acquiring the properties of the previously existing class, it also has the liberty to also have some extra information of its own. So uh, the in inheritance, some very important keywords that are used is the superclass, the subclass. So the superclass, as it is referred to in Java, so but in other programming language, I think C++ or C sharp, they refer to the superclass as base class. So whether it is superclass or base class, they both refer to the same thing. So the superclass is the class that is being inherited. So while the subclass or the child class is the inheriting class. Okay, so would be I think this is basically quite clear. So as an example, so student here is a typical example of a superclass, right? So graduate students, undergraduate students are they are basically classes that can be inherit this student class. So one thing with inheritance is that it models is a relationship. Okay, let me just add that here. It models is a relationship. If you look at the examples we have here, both the graduate student as well as the undergraduate student is a student. Okay, so the same way when you look at this, shape is a superclass, circle is a shape, triangle is a shape, rectangle is a shape, sphere is a shape, and cube is a shape. So basically, this is another prime candidate for inheritance. So another example is a loan, right? Okay, there are different loans. Car loan is a loan. Home improvement loan is a loan. Mortgage loan is also a loan. So this is basically another prime candidate for inheritance. And then another example is employee, right? So some employees are faculty employees, some can be staff employees. So basically both of these two guys are employees. So and then bank accounts, right? When you walk up to a bank, there are different options that you can have. So a bank account is a super can be a super class, and then the current accounts, actually this should be current accounts here. So current account and then savings account can both be uh, subclasses for this bank account class. So basically, these are just examples to illustrate what the kind of relationship that exists between superclass and subclass. So if you are working on a project and then you feel that your classes can have this is a relationship, so you are best served by using inheritance. So the key difference between inheritance and composition is that composition models as a relationship. Okay, composition, like I had mentioned in the previous recording, models as a relationship. Okay, so yeah. So to continue again, another keyword that is often used with respect to inheritance is the access modifier protected. So previously we've taken a look at some access modifiers, right? We've taken a look at public, we've taken a look at private. Okay, so when we say public and private, so a public member of a class is basically accessible to every member of is basically available to the public. Basically, anybody can call it from any package and so on like that. So that's public. So, but for private, any member, whether instance variable or method that is defined as private, is only accessible within that particular class. And I made mention of the fact that it is very good practice to have our instance variables as private. This will ensure that nobody can mistakenly have access, or nobody can have access to that private, to those instance variables from any other parts in the class. So protected members are basically like an intermediary between public and private. Okay, they're like in the middle position. So protected members, they are accessible by members of the subclass. So when you have any member of your superclass, when you define them as protected, so such a member is only accessible by the members of the subclass. Okay. Apart from that, it would also be accessible by members of classes within the same package. So when I mean the same package, okay, so this is a package here. So anything that is labeled as protected within all these classes can only be accessible within this particular package. So anything that is labeled as protected within this package, this abstraction package here, cannot be accessible from this advanced OOP package and so on like that. So that's something to take note of regarding protected. So, like I mentioned just some few seconds earlier, so in order to enjoy the benefits of encapsulation, it's better to leave the instance variables of the superclass as private. So this will ensure that you don't mistakenly modify your instance variables from the subclass. So when you label them as private, they can only be accessible within the superclass. Then you now provide public methods to manipulate those instance variables. So those public methods are what you will now make available to any other class that would likely be calling or making use of your superclass. Okay, so yeah, to before we just get started to coding, so we'll be to practice inheritance. We are going to be looking at this case study here. Okay, we are going to be having a commission employee class as well as a base plus commission employee class. So basically, a commission employee is an employee whose salary is paid based on how much he sells. So he earns a particular commission based on how many items he sells. So for example, he could earn a 0.3%, or he could earn a 30% commission on every 40 items he sells or every 100 items he sells. So basically that's the commission employee. So this other guy here, base plus commission employee, right? So he has a base salary. Okay. In addition to the base salary, he also has a commission that he enjoys on different items that he sells. So if we look at this situation here, so you can quite guess that commission employee is a superclass, would be the superclass. Base plus commission employee would be the subclass. So you can say that the base plus commission employee is also a commission employee. So you can see how that relationship works. So let's get started with some coding. Okay. So so here I'm just going to create that class. I'll call it commission employee. Yeah, okay. Okay, so this commission employee now has the following instance variables. So private string, first name, private string, last name, private string social security uh, number. Okay. Then he also has private double gross sales, the amount of items he sells. Then he also has private double commission rates. So these are the members of the commission employee. Okay, so here I'm just going to add a constructor for creating the object of this class later on. So I'll just I'll just do this public commission employee, and then I would add all of these attributes as local variables here. So string first name, string last name, um, string social security number, double gross sales, double commission rates. Okay, so here I will just add this dot um, first name equals first name, then this dot last name equals last name. Okay, this dot social security number equals social security number, and this dot gross sales equals gross sales, and here I would add this dot commission rate equals commission rate. Okay, so okay, so basically I have my constructor ready. So then the next point is to create my getters and setters. So I'll just auto generate the getters and setters to save us some time. So I'll just add command N on Mac. So getter and setter, I'll add all the different attributes that I want. And so yes, I have my getters and setters. Okay, so one more method I need is a method to calculate the earnings of this commission employee. Okay, so the return type is double. So I'll say public double earnings, and then this would give me, I'll just return uh, I'll return uh, get gross sales times get commission rate. Okay, this guy is showing four related problems. Where is that coming from? Okay, so it means I'm already using this in some places. So where is that class? Okay, in my payroll test. Okay, okay. So I already created something similar here, and then it's giving me this problem. So I'll just check it out here. Okay, I think yes. Okay, so I think this is it. I can just remove these guys. Okay, I'm removing that just for the sake of the coding we are working on. So okay, I no longer have that error. So basically, I've set up everything there is to set up for my commission employee. So then the next thing I would like to do now is okay, I would want to create a toString method. So I'll generate that as well. ToString so that I can create summaries of this particular, I can create summaries of all the instance variables I have. So one thing I will do here is again, instead of using the instance variables, I will use the get methods for to return these individual instance variables. So for first name, I'll use get first name. Okay, I'll modify this as well to return to use get last name. So this I would modify to use get social security number. So here I'll modify it to use get gross sales. Modify this as well to get commission rates. Okay, so we are good now. So basically our base, the other guy which we need to create from this question here is from this example here is the base plus commission employee. So this base plus commission employee has the same attributes as the commission employee with one extra attribute. Okay, so basically I will just copy this, command C, then I would create a new class. I will call it base plus commission employee. Yes. So we are good. Okay. So look at this here. So I have all of these guys. And then I'll just add one more guy here. Private double base salary. Okay. So you notice that basically we are repeating. Okay, before even mentioning that, let's finish this. So I'll finish this in the way that we already know, and then I would modify it to suit the inheritance that we are actually learning. So the next point is to generate my constructor again. So I will just generate this. Okay. So I have my constructor ready now. Then I would want to generate get out and set as. Okay. Then apart from this, I would also want to generate I would also want to generate the earnings for this guy. So public double earnings. Okay. So I'll just say return uh, get base salary. Okay. Plus uh, get commission rate times times get gross sales. So this is this guy's earnings. So basically, if you look at this method here, it's almost the same as the earnings. Yeah, it's almost the same as the earnings method here. So only that this is just multiplying the commission rate and the gross sales. Okay, this is also multiplying the commission rate and gross sales and then adding the base salary to it. Okay, so another thing I might want to do is okay, so before doing that, so if you look at this now, it simply looks like we are just copying the same code. We are repeating ourselves all from we are just repeating ourselves. What almost exactly the same thing you have in commission employee is the same thing you have in base plus commission employee. And one of the very good principles of software development is not to repeat yourself. So code that all of this boilerplate code where you just have to repeat yourself and so on, you can. So since we can establish that there's a relationship between them, so what we'll do is that we have to refactor this code now. So but before refactor, let's take a look again. So we can see that all of these guys here, right? These first five instance variables are the same as the first five instance variables here. Okay, so which is just the only difference. Okay, so what I will just do is in order to inherit a class, okay, so in the subclass, I'll just add this keyword extends. Okay, this extends, and then the class I want to actually inherit, which is what? Commission employee. Okay, so after doing that, since I'm extending commission employee, it means that I would have access to the methods in this guy. So what I would do now is I don't need to add these guys again. I can remove them. Okay, I remove them. So I have this as the only new instance variable that is unique to this class. So I would leave this. Okay, so this guy is also complaining. So I would wipe this off and then recreate this constructor. So how would I recreate this constructor? I'll just it's just the same, almost the same way with a little difference. So public base plus commission employee. All right. Then here I would just I'll bring in all of these guys. Okay, I'll bring in all of these guys now. Command C, I'm copying, then paste. Then I will now add this other instance variable here, which is what? Double base salary. I'll add it here. Double uh, base salary. Okay, then good. So having done this now, so you can see that it's giving us a specific error, right? Okay, before completing this constructor, let me go and remove all of these guys. So get first name, set first name, they are just the same code that I have in commission employee. So I'll just come over here up to set gross sales. Yes, up to set commission rates. I'll wipe them off. I don't need them again. So I will now concentrate on my constructor. Now, in the constructor of the subclass that is inheriting from a superclass, the first thing that has to come in there is the super keyword. Anything before the super keyword and you still have that error. Let me do Control Z. Let me undo that. So take note that we have this error here. Okay, so it's telling you that there's no default constructor available in commission employee. So you have to insert super. So to do that, I'll just add what? Super. Okay. So super now, this super here, this super keyword is used to refer to the constructor of this super class. Okay. To refer to the constructor of what? This super class, right? So I would go back here with that super, this super keyword. I would now add, yeah, I'll just add the same, you can see, I'll just add the same instance variables that are inside this guy here. Okay, I'll just add them into the super, I'll add them into this parenthesis here. Okay, now to then after this, I will now add this. This keyword here is used to refer towards the members of this of the current class you are in. Let us not mix them up. Super is used to refer to the members of the super class, the class you are inheriting from. This is used to refer to the current class you are in. So I'll just add this dot what? Base salary equals base salary. So with this, I can also initialize the base salary here. I hope this is making sense. I hope this is making sense. So having completed everything about this constructor now. So I want us to, I'll just repeat that once again. The first statement inside this constructor body has to be the super keyword, which is a reference to the constructor of your superclass. So if, for example, you put this statement before the super keyword, you notice that you have error, everything cries out, you have everything becomes red. Okay, so the super has to come first before any other thing, then the this, which is referring to the current class we are in, has to come second. Okay, so apart from that, I've also deleted all of the getters and setter methods since it is just repetition. The superclass is already providing public setter and getter methods. So that would suffice. That would suffice for now. So then apart from that, I've now added the getter and setter method for the base salary, right? Which is the only distinct instance variable in the base plus commission employee. Okay. I've also created the earnings method inside this particular class. So one thing I can also do is that I can also refactor this part of the code, right? So if you look at this part of the code that is highlighted, it is the same as the earnings method in this class. It is get gross sales times what? Get commission rate, right? So instead of having to type it out this way, I can make a reference to that method in the that earnings method in the super class. I will just call the super keyword dot earnings. So this would give me a reference to what? It will give me a reference to the earnings inside this commission employee class. Okay, so I hope that this makes sense. Okay, so one more thing that I would like to do is I would like to add I would like to add a toString method here as well. So I'll just generate the toString, click OK. So I have this toString method. So one more thing that I think I should add here is I also need to call the toString method from inside this particular class, right? So because it would just give me the completion of all of these guys here. So it will give me all of these details: get first name, get last name, get social security number, get gross sales, get commission rate. So at this point here, we only have, I will change this to get base salary as well. Okay, so you only have get base salary. So to get the complete information about every base plus commission employee object that I have, I'll just add a call to the toString method in the super class, super dot toString. Okay, so and then concatenate. So good. Yeah, I think if I will just go through this just to be sure I'm not missing out anything. Okay, so good. So now that I've done this, I'll just create a third class now that will have my main method for testing what we have done so far. So I'll just let me call this employee test. Okay, okay, good. So then I would have my main method. So here I would now create objects of that particular of the two classes. So let me start with commission employee, right? Okay, I would say first employee equals new commission employee. So then I need to now fill in all the details that are demanded by the constructor of that class. So here I could add Musa, Ibadi, social security number. Let's say I have SS 70 20 20 23. Okay, I think let's say S70. Okay, so I still need some more information here. So I think the next thing I need is the gross sales. Let's say I sold 900 items. Okay, then and then the commission rate, let's say, is 0.3. So good, I have this object here. So I also have a base plus commission employee. Let me call this guy the second employee, will be equal to new. Okay, so let me call this guy Lionel Messi. Social security number, I can call him number 10. Gross sales, let's say he sells 750 items. And then let's say his commission rate is 0.2. And then he has a base salary of 2,500, let's say 25,000. Okay. Okay, so good. So you can see that we've created this object this way. So creating objects in this way is something that is also new. So another way we can create an object is to make the superclass a type for the subclass. You make the superclass a reference for the subclass. So let's do something like this. So I want to show you that this is possible when you have a case of when you have a case of uh, when you have a case of inheritance. So commission employee, you make it an object of new base plus commission employee. Okay. So I'm just showing you that this is highly possible So let's call this Ronaldo. The, the Lima Social Security, I would say oh 09. Gross sales, let's say 500. Let's say it's commission rate 0.2, and then its base salary rewards, let's say 50K. Okay, good. So you can see that we have no errors. So I just need to establish that you can make your superclass a reference for your subclass. However, the inverse is not true. So this is because this base plus commission employee in reality is a commission employee too. Okay, just that he has something extra to him. So at the same time, we can also do what we can't do, however, is to do something like this, which is the base class. Let's say faults, or let's say error employee, then say it's new commission. Okay, let's put uh, Cristiano now, Ronaldo. Let's say oh 07, 450. Let's say 10, let's say 100,000. Okay, so take note of this. It gives an error instantly. So you can't actually do this, which is an error. So the idea is that your subclass or your subclass, the inherited class, or the sorry rather the inheriting class cannot be a reference type for the superclass. I hope you understand that. So I can remove this. I just wanted to show that this is an error. It shouldn't be. Okay. So here I can then now print out um I can print out these guys. Okay. I can print out these guys and then see I can print out the first employee. Let me format it as a string. So I would have a percentage s and then let me say slash n, and then earnings is percentage point two f, a placeholder for a type double. So here I'll just have first employee, and the second guy would be first employee dot earnings. So I can copy this and then replicate it 3 times. So I'll just change this to second employee, change this as well to second employee, then paste it a third time, and change this guy to third employee, change this guy to third employee, and then let's try to run it. This guy is a bit slow at the moment. Okay, good. So you can see, even though it's not that clear, so however, you can see that it calculates the earnings of each guy based on the so it calculates the earnings of each of those guys based on the particular methods that is provided. So you look at this, It gives us our complete information for each of the users. Okay, so the first guy, it gives you his information first, right? And then it gives you his earnings. So maybe perhaps to make it clearer, let me put in the six out here, another six out here, and then maybe another six out here. I'll run it once more and let's see how it works. So good. So it gives me the details of each user, commission employee, right? Then gives me his earnings, which is 270. Okay. Then the other guy, 25, and so on like that. So you see that despite the fact that we separated our classes into two, despite all the refactoring that we did, just to reduce the amount of code we have done, it actually did not stop the correctness of our work. So what this has ensured is that we have a more concise code. We have something that is easy to test. We have something that is easy to debug, and we have a lot of reusability right here. So, however, there is still a way we can further improve what we have done so far. We can improve it by adding abstraction. We can improve it by adding interfaces. So I would want to also invite you again to join me over the coming days as I also take us through abstraction, polymorphism, and interfaces. So would combine all of those three with inheritance and see how we can have something an even more powerful way to create objects, to do our objects, and to do our object-oriented design. So thanks for following, and see you again in the next recording.